Ready for it.
Thrilled for it.
Presenting Franks with Turbo Booster Jet Engine.
Let's turn our attention to the defending champions, Kolkata Knight Riders, who are only alive mathematically at the 58-game mark. They lost, they won 5 out of 12, they barely won at home. Can think of a bunch of issues that plagued KKR. What would you say hurt them the most?
I think probably their bowling more than anything. You know, from the way I saw it, they didn't have the wicket-taking capability at the top, which they've in recent years, which I think put a lot more pressure on their spin. Chakravarti and Narayan in the middle that have had a brilliant record in strangling the opposition. But you need a platform to be able to do that. If you're coming out of a power play wicketless or maybe just one down, the batting side's got the momentum, so they're prepared to take higher risk against your quality spin. So that was one thing that stood out for me.
Recurring conversations around their batting order too, and the usage of
that was the other one.
Where.
That was the other point.
I mean, if you've actually invested a lot in Ferraris, then get them onto the track as quickly as possible. You don't just put them in the garage. This is what has happened to them as far as their batting lineup is concerned. Even though Rahane has been impressive, he scored the runs. Aakash Raghuvanshi has been very good as a young kid, an uncapped Indian. But I'm convinced in my head that both of them cannot bat together. They should ensure that both of them are not batting alongside each other unless there is no other option left. I mean, Rahane is around and they've lost everyone, and then you send Raghuvanshi, I can understand. But other than that, they had the batting might. Venkatesh Iyer was at his best when he batted at 3. The moment you had Rahane, he could never bat at 3. And at 4, they didn't even send Venkatesh Iyer. They were thinking, okay, let's send Raghuvanshi because he bats well. And then they would go so deep into the innings, and then they realized, okay, we've got Rinku, we've got Ramandeep, we've got Russell. There's some serious strike power, but hardly any balls left for them to play. So I feel it's their batting. A team that can bat till number 9. The number 9 was Ramandeep Singh. Yes, some of them will lose form and all of that, but did you allow them enough time to at least express themselves? I think they failed there.
Yeah, there was a time on the couch when we explored how KKR might potentially have 5 number 3s.
Yeah, that to me is a standout. In that, I think it started at the auction table.
Yeah, and actually one of the words that I would use as the standouts to describe their season and the season of 2 other teams that got to the playoffs last year and won't this year in Sunrisers and Rajasthan is loyalty, which I think we so often associate with being a good thing. But I think with the way that the auction rules were set up and the purse that they had to invest to bring back so much of that title-winning squad, meant that they had very, very little to invest to cover the gaps that were left. So Stark, Salt and Shreyas Iyer were all guys that they could have gone for but opted not to. But ended up having downgrades in all 3 positions because of the fact that they simply didn't have the funds available because they spent so much bringing back that core. If you look at the one team that might well qualify for the playoffs who also did last year, RCB, they were the one who didn't retain as many players, only the 3, and didn't spend anywhere near as much on retentions.
Yeah, they were also the team that left it very late in announcing a captain, Ajinkya Rahane, and all the batting position questions that you have tried to answer. Is Rahane a viable leadership candidate for a 3-year cycle?
Oh, that's an interesting one actually, because personally I felt that it was an afterthought. They didn't go into the auctions thinking that Rahane is going to be our leader. They actually, and if that wasn't the case, he wouldn't have gone to the accelerated auction point where they picked him up at base price. So if you're picking your captain at base price, there's nothing wrong in actually finding a captain who can win you a tournament at base price. That's great shopping. But obviously, he's not your first choice. You went everywhere else and you figured out, okay, I've not managed to find one. So let me go with Rahane. Rahane is good. He's got good leadership qualities. But once again, Rahane will have to bat at 3 and nowhere else. Or maybe open. Then you need to pivot somehow that, okay, let Rahane open then. Anywhere Gurbaz and Quinton de Kock are not working out. So let's have Lavneet Sisodia batting somewhere down the order and get Rahane to open. They didn't even have that kind of flexibility. So Rahane 3 years, it's a tight one though, honestly. It's a tight rope to walk. They will be actually thinking it's gone right. Rahane the captain, as a batter, as a captain, he's done okay. But has the team done okay?
Yeah, it threw their balance.
Yeah.
That late call you're talking about, it totally threw the balance, which was touched on with regards to pushing back their real impact players and they had a lot of similar type players in that top order. And therefore, when you have that situation, you're going to have the fallout of form, like what happened with Aya.